Trade Organization, WTO. You remember the battle in Seattle? Posed in line with promises to overhaul the global trade systems, he said, hurts America. No, his tweeting is hurting America. Burger strikes again. That's what we call him now. He's a just nice. I got another story here. I'm trying to keep this one short because we're on the 8 o'clock hour, and I got some other things here that I got to get a hold to. And one of the things that really cracks me up, the group Reporters Without Borders said on Wednesday, more and more democratically elected leaders no longer see the media as part of democracy's essential underpinning, but as an adversary to which they openly display their aversion. Hatred, that's called in Romania in terms of press freedoms. Okay, the violent anti-press rhetoric from the White House have been coupled with an increase in the number of press tough questions. And when those officials are sitting up there just going back and forth, okay, going back and forth, oh my God, I will start a radio station in prison. I don't point this out to you because y'all need to know this. All right, y'all need to know this. Now, decent neighbor in the Sacramento suburb of Citrus Heights. Neighbor said his neighbor Natalia Beatis Corrente said D'Angelo appeared to be misplaces car keys and the like. He said one of D'Angelo from school. Okay, he liked the F word a lot. Okay, variously known as the Golden State Killer. We age the white ones here first. Just straight pickling. East Area Rapist and the East Area Rapist and the original model airplanes that could be flown by remote control in a home that he owned since 1983. And the lynching of thousands of black people in a decades-long, fly those stars and bars and say that you're not a racist. Your heritage comes from the massacre of thousands of black Americans. And if you don't believe me, why don't you look at the incidents that happened in Oklahoma, in Tulsa, Oklahoma, when black people were basically coming up with their own economies. They were coming up with their own self-reliance. And when they started to make headway, it was a terrorist attack on this soil. At the center of a grim cloister, a walkway with 800 weathered steel columns all hanging from the roof. Etched on each column is the name of an American county. The magnitude of the killings is harrowing, all the more so when paired with the circumstances of individual lynching, some described in brief summaries along the walk. Park Banks, lynched in Mississippi in 1922 for carrying a photograph of a white woman. Khalid Godley, hung in Kentucky in 1894 for simply, quote-unquote, walking behind the wife of his white employer. Mary Turner, who after denouncing her husband's lynching by a rampaging white mob, was hung upside down, burned, and then sliced open so that her unborn child fell to the ground. That's heritage. There's nothing like it in the country. Just seeing the names of all these places now. For Stevenson, the plans for the memorial and the accompanying museum were rooted in decades spent in Alabama courtrooms, witnessing a criminal justice system that treats African Americans with a particular cruelty or quote-unquote indifference. Okay? Since 1989, the Equal Justice Initiative has offered legal services to poor people in prison, toiling away in a city awash in Confederate commemorations. Monday was Confederate Memorial Day in Alabama. In a state with the nation's highest per capita death sentencing rate, nearly every staff member is a lawyer with clients in the prison system, and they have continued to work on a full schedule of legal defense work even as they painstakingly compile the names of the lynched and plan the memorial. Mr. Stevenson, whose great-grandparents were slaves in Virginia, has written about, quote-unquote, just mercy, a brief that those who have committed serious wrongs should be allowed a chance at redemption. It is a conviction he has spent a career arguing on the behalf of the clients, and he believes it is true even for the white America, whose brutality is chronicled by the memorial. Quote, if I believe that each of us is more than the worst thing he's ever done, he says, I have to believe that for everybody. Okay? But history has to be acknowledged and its destructive legacy faced. And this is particularly hard on in, quote unquote, the most punitive society on the planet, America. And I think it's important for us to do this as an organization that has created an identity that has disassociated from punishment as possible. Initiative headquarters is just a few blocks away in a building that was once a warehouse in Montgomery's sprawling slave market. It is now the site of the Legacy Museum, a companion piece to the memorial. So if you knuckleheads out there are still crying about your Confederate statues being torn down, at least take a walk through the memorial. And then ask yourself, that is your heritage. Carry it with you. Remember the black threads that hold your flag together. It is not a conventional museum, heavy on artifacts and detached commentary. It is perhaps yet better described as the presentation of an argument supported by first-hand accounts and contemporary documents that the slavery system did not end, but evolved. From the family-shattering domestic slave trade to the decades of lynching, terror, to the suffocating segregation of Jim Crow, to an age of mass incarceration in which we live in now. Okay? And who does it benefit? It benefits the heritage, doesn't it? It benefits that heritage. Oh, so lovely, 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 lovely. Racism in this country is almost a joke. But as long as we keep remembering on how this is happening, on how this is fighting us, and how this is killing us, we will never get off of our, victim system. He goes on to say, I refuse to believe that because I am a product of what can happen when you fight. If we don't fight, who's going to fight? You have to fight the good fight in order to get the good victory. So, if anything, the mockery of this whole thing is basically from where you can actually see the Montgomery skyline through the thicket of hanging columns. The river where the enslaved were sold and the Capitol building that once housed the Confederacy, whose monuments the current Alabama governor has vowed to protect. It is a striking view, but Mr. Stevenson pointed out that when standing here, you are on view as well, based on all sides by the same names of the thousands who were run down, instantly judged, and viciously put to death. You might feel judged yourself, he says, but what are you going to do? Are you going to lay down and commit to this stupid party and bullshit that you're going through right about now just because you don't have, you see your rights being taken away from you on a day-to-day basis? Or are you going to fight for your right to party? Come on, man. Look at your communities. Do you not see what's happening in your communities? We spit real stuff up. Our whole thing of political racism, socioeconomic discrimination. You're using your rap, okay? It's almost ridiculous, all right? Oh, the better union. How people of color are basically being treated in this country. People of color who are trying to get to this country, okay, are being treated. Seeing, a rise in the new world order. The 21st century world order. The 21st century world order. The 21st century world order. Wow. It's not like I want to be kept up or anything like that, but I enjoy my freedoms. And I don't care if they're government led or not, okay? I can walk around this place all damn day without an ID and still go where I want to go. I don't care, all right? So, from the BBC News, our good friends in Europe, okay, asked the question, from lynchings to the current state of what we got right now, why does the United States police keep killing unarmed black men? Probably because they need a vacation. 2, they're underpaid. And 3, if you did pretty good on, say, like your scores and everything in the police academy, it's based on your scores. So therefore, if you did good, you go to the great neighborhoods where you ain't got to do too much. But if you did, oh god, you got a 70 on that, you're going to the ghetto. All right. Anyway, I think we're so insular. What is this? Okay. These are not isolated incidents. drove around the corner and we look at you and profiled your ass. Yeah, you look like you're about to do a crime. You're under the right of suspicion. Yeah, we got the right to kill you right then and there. Wow. What kind of dichotomy is that? Okay, what kind of justice is that? Okay. 1,149 people, all of ethnic groups, were killed by police in 2014. He goes on to say that I identified whether they were armed or unarmed. He identified them by race by looking at if there were any obituary or any picture of them online. In the aftermath of the Ferguson, where an unarmed teenager, Michael Brown, was killed, there was this big question. Is this a pattern? Is this an isolated incident? What his data shows is that Ferguson is everywhere, all over the country. You're seeing black people being killed by police. So that leads to the question right here. This leads to the question right here. All right? This leads to the question. How many cops actually get convicted of murder? Just on duty shootings anyway. Just take a small part and see where that dichotomy is. And keep in mind, people, that at 3 o'clock, I start walking. I'm walking through, and mind you, they're a mixed couple. They're living in pretty much a predominantly Jewish area. I'm walking through there just to get from point A to point B. Police roll up on me and tell me that, oh, we're just stopping you because there's been a report of somebody walking around with long hair doing something in the neighborhood. Dude, I'm like, I walked away from him and kept going. What's your name? None of your fucking business. Do you have ID? That's for me to know and you to find out. Oh yeah, I'm a very smart mouth individual when it comes to dealing with police because their avuncular is just bugging me. And needless to say, they do not have the right to stop and frisk you, stop and check you, stop and ask you questions. Their thing is to patrol, seat and report, and then serve and protect the people. We've continued. And they still walk. That frightens me. And that's not unusual. No officers are ever convicted. From 2014 to 2015 to now, only 13 officers have ever been convicted of murder or manslaughter in fatal on-duty shootings, according to the data provided by the Huffington Post by Philip Stinson, an associate professor of criminology at the Ohio's Bowling Green State University. Stinson's data doesn't include cases in which civilians died in police custody or were killed by other means, or those in which officers only faced lesser charges, such as their lesser charges are this: you get pulled off duty with pay, and you get a chance, get to see other precincts. You get a vacation. You get like anywhere from like a 2-3 week vacation. Then you get shifted someplace else while everything is in court, going through the court system. Now, of course, the federal court doesn't want to even touch this because the federal police run it. Okay? Once, at least there was one officer, Daniel, officers in jail for, murders and like that, especially if they're officers of color. And then they put them in population. Really? Really? Oh my God. The inability to convict police on murder and manslaughter charges for fatal on-duty shooting contrasts with a recent increase in prosecution for that matter. Say like in 2015, increase from the average of around 5 officers each year over the preceding decades. Many of these cases involve incidents from previous years and have yet to go to trial, but if history is any indicator, it seems unlikely that many of these officers will ever be convicted, and they haven't. A tiny number of convictions, people. It's just a tiny number of convictions. What if, the shoe is on the other foot? What if these post-traumatic stress before they even put a gun in their hand? A sense of inflated power of holding something black and that explodes in people's face. I'm not talking about my penis. We're talking about the color of the damn gun. Okay? I should find that track and put it up back on here so this way you guys understand what the heck's going on. And to get back pain. Now, I usually say this jokingly because I think it's like, not true or anything like that or any of that nature. But needless to say, I think I pulled everybody's card on this one. Cincinnati AP. A white police officer fired after he fatally shot an unarmed black man. Motors will get about $340,000 in back pay and legal fees from the University of Cincinnati, the school said today. The university is paying Ray Tenzing to settle a union grievance brought on his behalf for his 2015 firing, following his indictment on murder charges. The charges were dropped last year after two juries deadlocked. The Fraternal Order of Police. Let me read that one for you again. The Fraternal Order of Police. It challenged Tenzing's firing, saying that he shouldn't have been removed from the university's police force before the case was resolved. As a part of the settlement, the union said Tenzing had resigned and will not pursue any claims against the university. When you got more than $250,000 in your pocket, you don't need to go back to the police department. You just won the. Jeez. Quote, this case has caused a lot of strife in the community. They're going to cry about it. So, a lot of strife in the community? A lot of strife in the community? How about strife in this damn country? How about that? Strife in this country about people getting shot for no reason other than, come on, we just had two disastrous shootings. One in the middle of the night, one in broad daylight. And of course, the FOP is going to sit there, well, just give them the regular shoe and go. Come on. If you want a vacation, shoot an unarmed black man so that way you can get a couple of days off. And if the case goes to trial and you don't go to jail, all the merit, it just makes white supremacy look that more important. It makes it a capitalistic system here. It makes it more prevalent as a reason for nationalism in this country. I thought all of us within this nation could convert to nationalism, or is that the new religion? I guess that's the reason why I'm not, at the sanctuary pitching what we do here. But I got to go to a more open, I have to go to a more blacker list of forms. It is straight up. Or better yet, let's do this on Sesame Street so this way you guys can understand it. Who is the Negro in your neighborhood? In your neighborhood. In your neighborhood. I say, who is the Negro in your neighborhood when you're running from his ass each day? Think about it. Tenzing shot Sam Du Bois, 43, in the head after pulling him over for missing front license plate in 2015. He testified that he believed his life was in danger when Du Bois tried to drive away during the traffic stop. The shooting is among numerous cases nationwide that have called attention to how police deal with blacks. Wow, they didn't say black. They didn't say African Americans. They just said blacks, okay? This is for everybody else's culture to realize that, this is how you pronounce all of us in a group, okay? We're blacks, okay? We're not browns. We're not, coffee. We're not, hazelnut. We're just blacks, okay? And the two trials underscore the difficulty prosecutors can have gaining convictions of police officers for on-duty shootings. University of Cincinnati agreed to pay more than $240 in this country. The university president, Neville Pinto, says, I realize this agreement will be difficult for our community. I am nevertheless hopeful that we can focus on supporting each other as members of the famed Burkett family, even perhaps especially if we don't agree. Dude, you're the president of the freaking university, and you laid out some lame-ass bullshit response to the press like that. Yeah, we can be, I don't want to discourage them because they probably know where I live and they can probably go to my house and bomb it. You're not a leader, man. You're not a leader. You're a brown-nosing idiot. You value money over people. You value money over values. You value money over integrity. And you represent the black community out there. On the university? You suck, all right? Straight up, you suck. The school has initiated police reforms and its leadership since the shooting. I hope so. Because the university earlier reached a $5.3 million settlement with the Du Bois family, including free undergraduate tuition for his 13 children. So the university is basically just giving up money left and freaking right because one, they're wrong on one end, and one, they're wrong. See if you guys can keep up with me. So the question here, why the Fraternal Order of Police must go? It is the nation's largest police organization that does more harm to public safety than good.